Andy Kennedy here. Today, with Inner Self Lightworks, we are launching a new series called In Layman's Terms. And what that's all about is that we are going to unpack bigger things, like today we're discussing decalcifying the pineal gland. Big terms, big words. Break it down. Let's break it down. Let's simplify what we're talking about and let's put it into layman's terms. So let's get started. I'm excited for this series, and at the end of this video, I'll talk a little bit more about the other things that we're going to talk about in this series. So kicking off in layman's terms, we are talking about, like I said, the pineal gland, which is a pine cone shaped tiny little gland inside the inner part of your brain. And this gland controls things like metabolism. It controls your moods, your emotions a little bit. It's a part of your endocrine system, and your endocrine system controls all of those things. So the pineal gland really also is your light meter, and it affects, it's affected by light. So of course, it's affected by fake light, which we have all around us, right? And it's best supported by natural light as well. So how does it get decalcified, or how do we decalcify it? How does it get calcified, I should say, in the first place, right? Calcification is another term for getting dry and crusty and shriveling up and shrinking, and just like we do in our whole body, right? Our skin kind of does that as we age. The other organs in our body kind of do that as we age. The unfortunate truth of being part of gravity and being on this dense planet is that, our body it oxidizes, right? And that means, so in layman's terms, oxidizing is like when you leave your bike out and the elements affect the metal on your bike. Well, what happens is that it starts to rust, right? The shell of the metal starts to get crusty and crack, and that's what our body does. That's calcification. That's oxidation. And so in layman's terms, again, to use that phrase again, how we prevent that is let's keep it simple. How we prevent everything, how we prevent aging, how we prevent rusting in our body, and how we support the pineal gland. Coming back to that topic, fruits and vegetables, right? Nature's medicine, right? Herbs, right? Water, lots of water. But we want to make sure all of those things are clean and clear. We want to make sure the foods in our diet are clean and clear. So the things that support our pineal gland and help to decalcify the pineal gland are filtered water and adding lemon to our water, because a lot of the time too, when our organs are not functioning great, they're carrying a heavier toxic load. So again, in simplified terms, carrying a heavy toxic load just means that, there are metals and heavy metals and other toxins in our environment, and they accumulate in our little glands, our liver, our kidneys, our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, our heart, our arteries, all of those parts of our body tend to start to store those things when we put too many of them in our body. So flushing them out with things like cilantro. Cilantro is a great thing to put into your smoothies in the morning. It's going to help to flush out those heavy metals, heavy toxins, and parsley as well. I like to grow those things indoors aeroponically, which is another topic that we'll be talking about in layman's terms. What does growing aeroponically mean? And so I like to grow those things inside quickly with lots of nutrients. Greens, beet greens, root vegetables, all of those natural supportive foods will also help to decalcify the pineal gland. And, nature provides all of those things. So let's not overcomplicate this, right? Really flooding our body with those things also means, what are we not eating? So let's not eat fake foods, processed foods. Let's cut down on gluten and dairy, or cut it out entirely if you can. Let's cut down or cut out processed meats, especially processed meats, but also meat in general. If we can eat less meat, or make sure that our meat is organic, especially, meat that is harvested by you. So my husband is an elk hunter. Meat like that is better than processed meat that's full of toxins and antibiotics and other chemicals that we put into our meats, unfortunately. So the more nutrients, the better, which is why I endorse and recommend and take myself whole food concentrates, foods that are concentrated, encapsulated, vine right picked, and I flood my body with those 55 fruits and vegetables every single day, on top of being primarily vegan. Do I eat meat vegan all the time? No, about 95% of the time I do. I don't like to say never, because we're human and sometimes you need to treat yourself. Although it's funny, treating yourself with sugar or caffeine or alcohol or whatever it is that you treat yourself with is really not a treat. It's a trick on the body. And so what we should treat ourselves with, not to shit on you, but what we should treat ourselves with is berries and wild blueberries. Especially, you've seen probably a big boost of that movement here lately. In the last 5 or even 3 years, more people know that eating wild blueberries are better than harvested traditionally grown blueberries. So wild blueberries. Why? Because it's a natural plant. It's like an herb. It's doing all of its thing that it needs to do instead of being a cultivated fruit or berry or vegetable. So other wild things that support our endocrine system are the yampa, which is a root that we grow here locally, or it is native here locally to northwestern Colorado. It's like the carrot, and it's especially good. Other herbs as well that are good that you can find in the wild, like the yampa, are yarrow and mullein, and native rose hips. All of those things are going to support the body too. So lots of herbs can support and decalcify. Another thing you want to cut out is fluoride toothpaste. A lot of studies have been linked to fluoride toothpaste and fluoride in general. So that's why we want to filter our water. So the fluoride has been linked to calcifying the pineal gland. In the end, wrapping this up, why the pineal gland needs to be decalcified or cleared is because when it's clear, we can use our third eye so much better. That's the chakra system, the energetic system that's between our eyes, because it's fueled by the pineal gland. And when it's clear, we can trust and hear and listen to our intuition better. That pathway that helps us connect to synchronicity and the quantum field. We also sleep better because we are on the natural rhythm of our alight cycle. And in general, we are just more tuned in, turned on, tapped into that quantum field. And what happens then is all of the magic that happens when we are tuned in, right? We follow synchronicity. We are led down the right path. Magic seems to happen. We feel more abundant, more loved, more nurtured. And so the pineal gland is just a little piece of that puzzle, a little part of that. So I hope that explained decalcifying the pineal gland to you in layman's terms today to kick off our new series. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you more. We're going to talk, like I said, about aeroponics. We're going to talk about the upper dimensions, dead matter, and words like alkalinity. So come back and look for more of our episodes in layman's terms. Thanks for joining today.